Every so often comes something that is so brilliant, so impressive, that I feel the need to stop everything I'm doing and divert all of my attention to that one specific thing. A motivation that I wish I felt more often. But when that spark does come, it ignites me with a flame that will just not shut itself out unless I talk relentlessly about it. And my god, Severance has lit me on fire. What happens when a team of writers is so confident in their plan and their direction of the show? Well, the end result is Severance Season 2. It's so hard for me to even write this video because, like, where do I even start? For some reason, it feels like Severance was a TV series that I've always wanted but never knew I needed. The concept for it is kind of simple on paper despite it remaining quite creative. A person's consciousness is split in their brain, achieving a work-life balance. However, it's not really just that concept that's interesting, but rather everything around it. For political dilemmas, the absolute top-notch casting that is perfect top to bottom, the superb cinematography that continues to stand out in every single episode, the soundtrack that I think is greatly underappreciated. But more than anything, I truly believe it to be the confidence in the writing and the direction that this series is going in that has really helped it stand out. We've seen shows like Westworld that create these discussions and theories and mystery that create many questions, but instead of answering them, the show simply continues to pile on more questions and eventually lose itself in its own mystery. Or Lost, which arguably takes too long to reveal its mystery, leading to people to believe they're just kind of making it up as they go along. But Severance Season 2 does something that many other shows would have waited 3 or 4 seasons to do. Instead of edging its audience and creating more and more speculation, it chooses to do the opposite. What if we moved forward and not backwards? The show does a great job of balancing the line of answering questions whilst also keeping that mystery. It will never fully reveal what's going on, but it will feed you the crumbs that will allow you to figure out what's going on, whilst leaving a bit of vague ambiguity around it, still giving the show a certain level of freedom to dance around the subject when the time comes. These 45-minute episodes reach a point where it feels like every single scene is just critical, and you may not notice it at first, but once I'm finished with the episode, I'll go into the subreddit and it just has all of these little hidden clues that have been dissected that I may have missed on my initial viewing, and it makes you realize just like how absurd the attention to detail in this show is. I watched season 1 again before season 2 came out so that it was kind of fresh in my mind, and it's really cool to be able to see how well both seasons play into each other. There's subtle details that obviously you'll miss in your first watch, but when you watch season 1 again after season 2, you kind of notice these things you didn't initially realize. And the series is full of stuff like that. It's actually, dare I say, fueled by elements like that, because everything just feels so consistent. It's polished, and it feels like the answers are probably right in front of our eyes, and we just kind of need to look smarter. But not too smart, or you'll end up looking like the Severance subreddit, which towards the end of the season just kind of looked like a schizophrenia meetup. We've seen shows that have all these pennies and you're just waiting for them to drop, and sometimes they either don't, or if they do, they kind of drop into a puddle. And this is kind of how I feel towards Red Dead Redemption 2, but that's a video on its own. But Severance has not only done this extremely well, it's done it twice now. Severance Season 1 is a little bit of a slow burn. There's a lot of people that are turned off by its initial first episodes just because it can feel a little slow. But it makes up for it by delivering a stellar second half and one of the best season finales to an inaugural season to a show I've had the pleasure of experiencing. For Severance to pull one of the best season finales in only 9 episodes is incredibly impressive, and it sets the bar for the show so incredibly high. I thought for sure that the series would never be able to reach those heights again, but my god.
Fuck you, Mr. Milchick.
They give us half a life and think we won't fight for it.
The season 2 finale for Severance is one of the greatest cinematic experiences that I think I've ever witnessed. It was enough to make me stand up and give a standing ovation in my own bedroom where nobody could see me. One of the most impressive 76 minutes of television that I think I'll ever see, that'll be unmatched for a long time because it is truly a masterstroke on so many levels. We've seen shows that crumble under this immense pressure of delivering a season finale with this much anticipation, and Ben Stiller and Dan Erickson have managed to blow the doors off, delivering a once-in-a-lifetime experience. There are moments when watching this series where I just kind of realize how insane it actually is, and I realize that I don't think I'm ever going to see anything capable of replicating it anytime soon.
To start, imagine yourself as a seesaw. Ow! Fuck!
Upon request, I can also perform a hug.
You know, I've been exhibiting signs of sadness. Could I get one of those?
No.
Every single actor here is just acting their ass off. They were all born to play their roles here. It is just top tier casting, and yes, they are going to sweep award seasons, as they absolutely should. Britt Lauer and Trammell Tillman have been particular standouts to me. They've just been like on another level, especially for severed actors who essentially have to play two completely different characters. And what's so impressive is that it just works. They are so convincing as their innies and outies that you just naturally see that they are different people. Mr. Milchick is emerging as one of my favorite characters of all time, just in general. He is truly playing the role of a lifetime here. It's quite incredible to see.
Mr. Milchick.
This is the tallest waterfall on the planet. You have followed the path of Kier and Dieter and reached Woes Hollow.
And from watching the clips in this video, you'd assume this series was a comedy, but in reality, it's one of the most gripping and interesting stories with so many different layers. The writers know exactly when to cross that line between embracing its inherently silly concept and the more serious and political consequences that come with it. It's one of the few shows, if not the only one I've seen up to now, that can make me go from smiling and laughing to making me absolutely miserable and on the verge of tears 2 minutes later. It's got me feeling emotions that I don't think I felt before. I think Severance has changed my life, okay, but coming down to reality a bit, the point of art is to evoke something, an emotion, to make you, the consumer, feel something, and Severance is making me feel everything. This is pure art. It comes to a point where I can put my very, very minor gripes aside and look past them, because at the end of the day it doesn't really matter, because it is moving me like very little has managed to do before. It's been reported that Apple is losing over $1 billion a year on Apple TV, and yet they continue to produce quality like Severance, and they just renewed another season, which is fantastic, because as we start to see more and more studios resort to AI slop, it's important for companies like Apple to fund these genuinely creative projects that have a clear and committed level of passion, energy, and emotion put into it. In my Evangelion video, I talk about the overuse of the word peak and truly questioning what it defines and if there is truly a limit to how far we can go. But I think now I understand it on a more fundamental level. I don't think there is some objective parameter that shows follow that define them as good or bad. The only thing that should matter is how it makes you feel, and it's what makes art subjective. I've seen a ton of people watch Severance and say they just don't get it, my own mother being one of them. Truly baffling, I know. And to that I say it's okay. What I'm saying is that Severance has broken me. It's everything I've always wanted. It's made me emotional, it's made me laugh, it has amazed me, it's stunned me, it's gotten me engaged in conversations about genuine, real world issues. With all that being said, it's safe to say, Severance has blown me away.